Hello friends, I'm Akash and a hearty welcome to my YouTube channel. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this. The President is the head of state of the United States, head of federal government, and the Commander-in-Chief of the United States Armed Forces. The President of the United States is indirectly elected to a 4-year term by the American people through the Electoral College and is limited for 2 terms. Since 1789, there have been 45 individuals who have served as presidents, but there have been 46 presidencies. This discrepancy between the number of presidents and presidencies is because of Grover Cleveland, who served 2 non-consecutive terms and is therefore counted as both the 22nd and 24th President of the United States. So, with that cleared out of the way, here is the list of the U.S. presidents, starting with George Washington, the first President of the United States. His term was from 1789 to 1797. He was from Virginia and was not affiliated to any party. Next is John Adams, the second President and the first Vice President of the United States. His presidential term was from 1797 to 1801. He was born in Massachusetts and belonged to the Federalist Party. Number 3 is Thomas Jefferson. Jefferson's term was from 1801 to 1809. He was from Virginia and he belonged to the Democratic Republican Party. Next, James Madison was the 4th president and his term was from 1809 to 1817. He was born in Virginia and he was from the Democratic Republican Party. And then another James is president, James Monroe, the 5th president of the United States from 1817 to 1825. He was from Virginia and belonged to the Democratic Republican Party. Next, we have John Quincy Adams, the 6th president of the United States. He was the son of the 2nd president, John Adams, and his term was from 1825 to 1829. He was from Massachusetts and he was affiliated to the Democratic Republican Party at the time of his election. Now, John Adams and John Quincy Adams were just the first of several father-son pairs for president. Next, number 7 is Andrew Jackson. His term was from 1829 to 1837, and he was from the Waxhaws region of the Carolinas. Jackson was affiliated to the Democratic Party at his time of election. Martin Van Buren is the 8th president of the U.S. from 1837 to 1841. He was from New York and was the founder of the Democratic Party. Next, William Henry Harrison is the 9th president, and his term was from March 4th, 1841 to April 4th, 1841. Yeah, it only lasted for 31 days. Harrison was from Virginia and belonged to the Whig Party, but sadly, he passed away just 31 days into his term, and so John Tyler, who was previously the vice president of William Henry Harrison, became the 10th president of the United States, and he served the rest of William Harrison's term from 1841 to 1845. Tyler was from Virginia and was elected as vice president through the Whig Party, but remained unaffiliated during his presidency. Next, James Polk is the 11th president of the United States. His term was from 1845 to 1849. He belonged from North Carolina and was affiliated with the Democratic Party. Next, Zachary Taylor was the 12th president from 1849 to 1850. Yes, that's only 16 months because again, he died while he was in office. Taylor was born in Virginia and brought up in Kentucky, and he belonged to the Whig Party. But after President Taylor passed away in office, Millard Fillmore, previously the vice president of Zachary Taylor, took charge and became the 13th president of the United States. And again, he served the rest of President Taylor's term from 1850 to 1853. He was from New York and he belonged to the Whig Party. And next, number 14 is Franklin Pierce, and his term was from 1853 to 1857. President Pierce was from New Hampshire and belonged to the Democratic Party. Next, the 15th President of the United States is James Buchanan. His term was from 1857 to 1861. President Buchanan was born in Pennsylvania and belonged to the Democratic Party. Next, the Abraham Lincoln is the 16th President of the United States and is perhaps one of the most greatest and a very, very popular president. He was in office from 1861 to 1865 until his assassination. He was born in Kentucky and moved to Illinois when he was 21. And for the first time ever, he was elected on a Republican Party ticket. At this point, the Republican Party had officially been founded and soon became a major party when Abraham Lincoln was elected. And only a month into his second term as president, Lincoln was assassinated. And so his vice president, Andrew Johnson, took charge as the 17th president of the United States. Now, his term was from 1865 to 1869. And he was the first president ever to be impeached by the House of Representatives. And if I remember correctly, he was acquitted in the Senate by 1 vote, which is impressive. Now, President Johnson was born in North Carolina, but he moved to Tennessee. Johnson was elected as vice president with Lincoln through the Democratic Party. Yeah, the Democratic Party. And next, Ulysses S. Grant is the 18th President of the United States, and his term was from 1869 to 1877. He was from Ohio and was affiliated with the Republican Party. Next, Rutherford B. Hayes is the 19th President, and his term was from 1877 to 1881. He was from Ohio and was a Republican. Next was James Abram Garfield, the 20th President of the United States. But Garfield was shot 4 months into his presidency and he died 2 months later. So his tenure was only from March to September of 1881. At that time, assassinations seemed to be rather common. He was from Ohio and was a Republican. And upon his death, his vice president, Chester Alan Arthur, became the 21st president. President Arthur's term was from 1881 to 1885, and Arthur was born in Vermont and his family later moved to New York. He was elected along with President James Garfield on a Republican ticket. Next, the 22nd President of the United States is Grover Cleveland. His term was from 1885 to 1889. President Cleveland was born in New Jersey, brought up in New York, and he belonged to the Democratic Party. Now, 23. Now we're halfway because Benjamin Harrison is the 23rd president, and his term was from 1889 to 1893. Born in Ohio, Harrison moved to Indiana, and he was a Republican. And now, the 24th president is actually also Grover Cleveland, the 22nd president, as I told you in the beginning of this video. Cleveland is the only president in American history to serve 2 non-consecutive terms in office, because Benjamin Harrison, the 23rd president, pretty much cut his little bits of terms in between because he won the election that time. Grover Cleveland struck back in 1893 to win the election again and served until 1897. Now, at this point, Grover Cleveland decided not to run for re-election again, and William McKinley became the 25th American president from 1897 until his assassination in 1901. McKinley was from Ohio, and he was a Republican. And as he was assassinated, his vice president, Theodore Roosevelt, took over as the 26th president. And Roosevelt was in office from 1901 to 1909. President Roosevelt was from New York, and he was a Republican. William Howard Taft was the 27th president from 1909 to 1913. President Taft was from Ohio, and he was a Republican. And he is also perhaps the most influential person in the highly well-known Taft family, which also owned the Taft Broadcasting Company for quite a while. The 28th President of the United States is Woodrow Wilson, who was in office from 1913 to 1921. Wilson was born in Virginia and was a Democrat. Next, Warren Gamaliel Harding was the 29th President of the United States, and he served as the president from 1921 until his death in 1923. President Harding was from Ohio. He was a Republican and got elected once. Then, the 30th president was Calvin Coolidge. He was the vice president of the 29th president, Warren G. Harding, who passed away in office in 1923. Then, his term was from 1923 to 1929. He managed to get elected again, which is awesome. President Coolidge was born in Vermont, and he later moved to Massachusetts, and he belonged to the Republican Party. Next is number 31, President Herbert Hoover. His term was from 1929 to 1933. President Hoover was born in Iowa and brought up in Oregon, and he was a Republican. Next comes Franklin D. Roosevelt, the 32nd President of the United States. He served from 1933 until his death in 1945, and he is the only president in history to have served more than 2 terms. In fact, he served 4, which is impressive. Now, President Roosevelt was born in New York and was a Democrat. Next, Harry S. Truman, the vice president of the 32nd President Franklin D. Roosevelt, took over as the 33rd President of the United States after Franklin D. Roosevelt's passing away in 1945. And Truman's term was from 1945 till 1953. He was born in Missouri and belonged to the Democratic Party. The 34th President is Dwight David Eisenhower. His term was from 1953 to 1961. President Eisenhower was born in Texas and raised in Kansas, and he was a Republican. Now, number 35 is JFK, John F. Kennedy. President Kennedy's term was from 1961 until his assassination in 1963. JFK was born in Massachusetts and is a Democrat. And next we have Lyndon Baines Johnson, the 36th president. Lyndon B. Johnson was President JFK's vice president and took charge as the president when JFK was assassinated. His term was from 1963 to 1969. President Johnson was from Texas, and he was a Democrat. Now, we only have 10 more presidents to go, so let's go on with the 37th president, Richard Nixon. He was in office from 1969 to 1974. President Nixon is from California, and he is a Republican. Now, President Nixon was involved in the Watergate scandal, and as a result of this, he resigned, facing almost certain impeachment by the Senate. The 38th president now, Gerald Ford, assumed the office, and his term was from 1974 to 1977. President Ford was born in Nebraska and raised in Michigan, and he was a Republican Party member. Number 39 is Jimmy Carter, who was the 39th President of the United States. His term was from 1977 to 1981. President Carter was from Georgia, and he is a Democrat. President Ronald Reagan is the 40th President of the United States, and he was in office from 1981 to 1989. President Reagan was born in Illinois and later moved to California, and he was a Republican. Next, the 41st President of the United States is George Herbert Walker Bush, and his term was from 1989 to 1993. The 41st President is often referred to as Senior Bush, and was born in Massachusetts, but moved to Texas, and he was a Republican. Next up is Bill Clinton, the 42nd President, and he was in office from 1993 to 2001. President Clinton was from Arkansas, and he is a Democrat. At number 43 is George Walker Bush, whose father is President number 41, and his term was from 2001 to 2009. Born in Connecticut, Bush moved with his family to Texas later, and he is a Republican Party member. The 44th President of the United States is Barack Hussein Obama II, who is the first African American president. He served in the office from 2009 to 2017. President Obama was born in Hawaii and settled in Illinois. He's affiliated with the Democratic Party. President Donald John Trump is the 45th President of the United States. He was president from 2017 to 2021. President Trump was born in New York, and he is a Republican. The current president, who is number 46, is Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., popularly known as Joe Biden. He was inaugurated on January 20th, 2021. Biden, who was born in Pennsylvania, later moved to Delaware, and he is a Democrat. And those are all of the 46 presidents of the United States. Thanks so much for watching. Love you, Akash.